Let's get expert reaction now to my exclusive interview with Carter Page. Joining us in studio, got all three of them, Republican Congressman Ron DeSantis, Fox News contributor, Washington Examiner reporter Byron York, and Fox News contributor, senior editor at The Federalist, Molly Hemingway. Byron, let's start with you. Reaction.
Well, sometimes it's hard to actually get all the facts out of Carter Page because he just doesn't speak all that directly. But that point where he said, I've talked about this extensively with both houses of Congress, which is true. I mean, if you read the interview that he had with the House Intelligence Committee, it just went on and on and on and on. I thought the most telling part of your questioning was about him saying that touting himself as an advisor to the Kremlin. Why would you do that? I think most people theorize, and we're just theorizing, that he was just trying to make himself look more of an insider than he was.
That never happens in Washington or New York, where people inflate their resumes.
Correct.
Or Molly.
Well, also, he was a businessman based in Russia for a long time. That's where he's done his life's work. He does have contacts with Russia. That is actually not a crime to have these things. And so just seeing him and seeing him talk about some of these things is very interesting. This is a man who has had all the power of the federal government going up against him. You know, they're surveilling him, and also this has very much affected his life and his reputation, his business relationships. I think it's time for the federal government, if they think he's guilty of something, they need to put up or shut up and let this man attempt to reclaim his life.
They have not told him he's a target of the investigation, Ron. Your reaction to what he said tonight?
Well, I mean, he is kind of a weird dude, but like the fact that he says, release all the FISA stuff. Release it.
He doesn't seem worried about that at all.
Yeah, I mean, so to me, you know, it just seems like he wants all this stuff to come out because he doesn't think there's any there. But remember, because he was a U.S. citizen, when they went to surveil him, it's not just that there's suspicion he could be acting as an agent of foreign power. You also have to show he's violating a criminal statute. And the Nunes memo doesn't say what statute did they cite as a potential violation. Was it just some pretextual thing, or was there honestly something where they thought he was violating law? We need to release all of this information.
I felt, I mean, just as a human reaction, I feel sorry for Carter Page. I mean, I know he was in Russia I lived in Russia as a student. Like, I know a lot of people doing business in Russia. They're commercial real estate, people in science and so forth. Just because you've done business in Russia, and you know people, doesn't mean you're a Russian spy, but most people, like, they hear Carter Page, oh, he was a Russian spy. People just think that, because of the way the fake media has reported this.
I've heard him referred to on network television as a known Russian agent.
A known Russian agent. Now, this is the stuff that drives me crazy.
That. But you raised a really interesting idea about what is his status with the Mueller investigation, because he is one of, if there is collusion, he's a really important part of this. Papadopoulos was the other person who was very important of this. He was not charged with any crime relating to a criminal conspiracy. He simply was charged with lying to the FBI. Now, what's the deal with Carter Page? He hasn't been charged with anything. Are they contemplating charging him with anything? And if they don't, where is the collusion?
Molly, this is what the federal government can do. And this is, again, in the angle I did before he came on. Liberals used to care about civil liberties. I mean, those comments from Blumenthal, and the FISA court, the abuses of the FISA court, you don't know what they're doing. They can spy on Americans. And here we have that happen starting in October after he left the Trump campaign.
Well, and this is foundational to our understanding of what it means to be American, that the federal government cannot deprive you of life, liberty, property. They can't arrest you or spy on you without a really good reason. And if the civil rights and civil liberties of Carter Page can be violated, they can be violated for anyone. And that's why it's very important that we can trust these courts, particularly because the target of the investigation doesn't get the chance to plead his own case. So we rely on the government to make sure that they provide all the information that is key.
We should point out that the warrant, it's often pointed out that, well, they didn't put the warrant on him until after he left the campaign. But that not only gets his phone calls going forward, it gets all of his email going backward, back when he was in the campaign. Plus, it allows the FBI to break into his home, search it, and plant electronics when he is not there.
And potentially other locations. I mean, if they identify other locations, they could have surveilled other places.
I mean, I'm saying it's ironic we're talking about Russia when we do this in the United States of America. I mean, Russia, Russia, Russia. What are we doing to our own people? I want you to react, Congressman, to both Trey Gowdy and it was Trey Gowdy and who else? Nunes, of course, made the comment today about the footnote and reacting to it. Let's watch.
A footnote saying that something might be political is a far cry from letting the American people know that the Democrats in the Hillary campaign paid for dirt that the FBI then used to get a warrant on an American citizen to spy on another campaign.
I read the footnote. I know exactly what the footnote says. It took longer to explain it the way they did than if they just come right out and said Hillary Clinton for America and DNC paid for it. But they didn't do that.
Ron, is there anything that can be done to the people responsible for filing that, omitting a material fact, because it was omitted in that application?
Yeah, look, I mean, your bar license, if you're practicing law, I mean, that goes into that. Look, there could be criminal liability. It would depend on the intent, and that's why we need all this information. But that footnote, I read it. I read the Schiff memo. It is the most circuitous way to say that there may potentially, I mean, they could have come out and said it. The way they did it was not enough candor for the court.
Well, it's a material fact. You omitted a material fact from the application. If I were that FISA judge, I would be livid because it makes the judge make the wrong or potentially the wrong decision.
It's the key question. Should the FBI be lured into surveilling a political opponent using opposition research bought and paid for by the opposing campaign? That's the key question.
China would do it. Russia would do it. North Korea would do it. Cuba would do it. And apparently we can do that in the United States very quickly.
That paragraph in the Nunes memo was very, very clear. It says they didn't tell them that the DNC and the Clinton campaign was paying for it, and they did not.
100% true. Even the Schiff memo will not dispute that.
And we're going to be looking for the State Department shoe to drop perhaps on this. I know you've been writing about it, Molly. You've been talking about it. Thank you all. Great stuff, guys.